guys, so I've seen a lot of people do top 12 books of 2012 and I thought I would do something a little bit different. I thought I would do top 9 underrated books of 2012, and I know 9 is not 10 and it's an odd number, but these are the 9 books that I thought were underrated this year and that not a lot of people have read. So the first book is Shift by Jennifer Bradbury. And if you don't know about this book, I mentioned it in my wrap-up, which I will link over here. And this book was just amazing, as you already know. And it just reminded me of one of John Green's books. It just had that underlining meaning that I know a lot of people can relate to. The second book I want to talk about, I don't have because I got it from the library. And I just got it on a whim because the cover drew me in. And it's held by Edith Revel. It's about this girl. She's on vacation and all of a sudden she gets snatched and kidnapped. And her captor takes her to this solitary place and keeps her in this room. And basically, as we all know from Stolen by Lucy Christopher, she falls in love with her captor. And I thought this book was just more detailed and deeper than Stolen by Lucy Christopher, so you should definitely check that book out. The next book I want to talk about is The Lifeboat by Charlotte Rogan. And you've probably seen me mention this book too. And not all these books are YA. This one's an adult, and I think like 3 other ones are adult books too. This one I really enjoyed, and it's about this lady named Grace, and she's with her husband Henry on an ocean liner, and all of a sudden there's an explosion and he risks his life to save her and put her on a lifeboat. So it basically takes place in the lifeboat the whole time, and it also takes place with her on trial. So I definitely thought this was one of the most underrated books this year. The next book is also an adult book, and I think they only sell it in the UK because I could not find this book here in the US. And it's Dark Matter by Michelle Peveur. I've mentioned this book before too. This guy goes on an Arctic expedition and he ends up by himself. So a lot of strange things are happening, a lot of scary stuff is happening, and I really enjoyed this book and I think it was really well written and definitely an underrated book. The next book I read I don't have with me, and it's Sworn to Silence by Linda Castillo. One of my favorite books I've ever read, and it was my first like suspense adult novel that I've read. And it's about this girl named Kate. She's the chief of police of this town, but before she was chief of police, she was part of this Amish community, and she got banned because of this murder that happened and the situation she was in. So now that she's chief of police, she thinks that the same killer is back. I really enjoyed it, and I will definitely be rereading it this year in preparation for the second book in the series. The next book that I thought was underrated that I read this year was On the Island by Tracy Gravis Graves. And if you've seen my videos, you know that I've mentioned that this is one of my favorite books. I'll just tell you a quick summary of what it's about. And it's basically about this boy named TJ. He's missed a lot of schoolwork throughout the school year because he had cancer. So his parents decide to hire a private tutor and send him to one of their private islands so he can catch up with his schoolwork. So they go on the plane and it ends up crashing nowhere near the island they were supposed to be on, and no one can find him for 4 years. So this was a really good book, and it's not YA, it's sort of like a new adult type book, and I really recommend reading it. The next book I read was a book I got at the library, and it was One Breath Away by Heather Gottenkopf, and I've read 3 of her books so far, and I love her writing, I love her style, and this book was basically about the shooter coming into the school, and you're trying to figure out who the shooter is the whole time, so it's kind of like a mystery type thing, and each chapter is a different character speaking, and it tells you who the person is that's speaking in that chapter in the beginning of the chapter. So I like that. And all her books are the same in that sense, where she has different characters and a different character is speaking for every chapter. So you should definitely go check out that book and all her other books because she's just an underrated author in general, I think. So One Breath Away that I just mentioned is classified as an adult book, and the book I'm about to mention is also an adult book, and it's The Lover by Margaret Duras. This was just beautifully written, beautifully written. I just loved the way it was written. It was just so beautiful. And it's about this 15-year-old girl. She falls in love with this wealthy Chinese man, and you will just have to read it to find out what happens. So some of you have probably heard about this last book, and it's The Hollowed Ones by Laura Bickle. I did a book review earlier in the year on this book, and I will link the video right here if you want to know more about this book. all I will say is that it has vampires in it, which a lot of people didn't expect because it is based around the Amish community. So definitely go check out that book review that I will link over here if you want to know more about this book. So those were all the books that I thought were underrated that I read this year, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you haven't read some of those books, I hope you check them out. So thanks for watching, guys. Bye.